playing our intro.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wait. No, I definitely don't want to be showing that then. I just remembered.
Dude, delete the dick pic. Crap, we're live. Sorry. My bad.
Yeah, no, I don't ever want to be that guy that does that on his Zoom. Yeah, I'd prefer not to be that guy.
I'm such a horrible person.
Someone like five years from now, it's like, yo, is that the guy? Is that the Zoom guy?
Yeah, my
WandaVision
bad.
Zoom guy? I don't want to be that guy.
Can't take Patrick anywhere.
I know,
Right?
that's my bad.
By the way, huge shouts out to Dakota, our artist, for putting this together. Amazing work. Huge shouts out to him. One of the hardest working kids out there. All right, everybody, welcome to an all-new episode of Marvel Cinematic Review. We are the MCR of the MCU. And yes, Kevin Feige did give us the stamp of approval, so we are the voice of the MCU. In case anybody out there was wondering, Feige has given us the stamp of approval. Not really. Please, if you're listening, Feige, don't come after us. Anyway, I'm your host, Quan, and we will have a loaded panel today, but we got a few faces here now. So let me kind of go off and introduce a few people. Starting first, Patrick of the Kinda Nerdy Dudes and Kinda Nerdy Girls.
Yes, I'm representing the Kinda Nerdy Girls tonight as well. Yes. Actually, my partner Clay will be in here shortly to represent the Kinda Nerdy Dudes. I am going to take, since I'm on the Kinda Nerdy Girls podcast most of the time, I will take the girl side. So thank you for having me part of this, as we have done for the past 4 weeks now. So thank you very much for that, and I'm super excited. There are so many questions I have leading into this discussion tonight, so let's do this.
Oh, absolutely. And next up, Martin. What's going on, Martin?
Oh, not much. Kind of like we talk about all the questions. Like I said, when I finished watching WandaVision, I just started typing out stuff because there's a whole lot going on here. I have not a clue what's going on, but it's gonna be fun talking about it.
No, and I love it, and it's funny you say that, because I say all the time, none of us know what's going on. This is legit. All of us kind of go, learning as we go. Some of us just think we have a roadmap based off of some of the comics. But it's kind of weaving in and out of what we know from the comics. So we're all in that same boat of not knowing. When that doorbell rung, I was just like, all right, now. Like, okay, I don't have a diaper on in case I poop myself here. What's happening? So you never know. But next up, Dom, what's going on, Dom?
Man, I'm good, man. The first thing I want to say is I think everyone needs to start paying very close attention to Boss Logic. I noticed the other day that he had a tweet about meeting with Feige soon. And then today he posted a image that he had created of like Magneto, and he said like soon, and people were like, oh shit, like what does this mean? He goes like, it's not related, but soon. So like that, I think he's gonna be used a lot of different ways coming soon if his meeting goes well with Feige. So everyone should, if you're not already following Boss Logic, which most of us are, I think that's a guy that everyone should kind of like keep an eye on, and his buddies. Yeah, Boss Logic has a lot of buddies who do similar things, and they team up with each other. And I feel like eventually there's going to be hints around all these artists doing things, especially since a lot of these, the fandoms for these shows are going to be growing online. And so watch out for those guys.
If that photo is still up, it's unrelated to WandaVision. If that photo's been taken down, it's very related to WandaVision. Because I can guarantee you the first thing Kevin Feige is gonna say is, "Hey, no, take that down." Like,
right?
Like, as I'm sitting here with you, don't even wait till you leave right now. So I'm pretty sure we'll figure that out soon. If that photo kind of just in a few days is just magically gone. We'll know what's going on. But last, definitely not least, Tia, what's going on, Tia?
Well, I want to take this moment to make sure that everyone can hear me properly because I got a new mic, so I want to make sure that it's actually working
go
well.
Stunt on them, Tia. Go ahead.
But I do want to take another moment to say my mom is watching this live, and Mom, I got a new mattress. I stayed in bed all day, so no, I did not put makeup on. So,
and Mom, I'm sorry about the way this opened up. That's my bad.
Oh yeah. Also, my mom who was watching, and my
Hi,
dad,
John's mom,
and my dad. That was not planned for sure. So, I don't need any phone calls later. But no, we have a great show, and I have a question for you guys, like I do every week here. I'm going to start with you, Martin. The question of this episode is: Elizabeth Olsen was making some pretty crazy proclamations out there, saying that WandaVision has a reveal that rivals Luke Skywalker's reveal in The Mandalorian Season 2. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen The Mandalorian Season 2, but the window is closed.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen it. You either wanted to or didn't. So my question to you, Martin, is who do you speculate could be someone big enough to rival us seeing Luke freaking Skywalker on The Mandalorian? Yikes.
I'm not sure. Like I said, there's all kinds of theories out there, including, of course, eventually we're going to get the X-Men and the mutants. So, I mean, you could get Magneto somewhere involved in that. I'm probably the worst person to ask about this. But obviously it's not Pietro because he came out. But I don't know. Actually, I'm here to learn from you folks. So hopefully somebody has some better theories than I have, because I have none.
Well, here's the thing. It's one of those things to where it's like no one is right or wrong, because we will have no idea until it shows up. Tia, you remember, I don't know if you were there, Dom, but Tia, you were doing the weekly Mandalorian reviews with me, AJ, and Joel sometimes. And you heard me and Joel go, the only one that makes sense would be Luke Skywalker, but right. They would never do it. Like we immediately threw that out the window. They would never be able to get Luke, right? So we were talking about, Ezra from Rebels, a whole bunch of other.
I was on that one. Yeah.
Right.
I was on that one.
So picture me, 3 a.m., seeing that one X-Wing fly through the sky. And I'm like, no. They're not going to do this. And I was crying. And it was funny because I follow his name. He has a YouTube page called Star Wars Theory. And I joined his live, like he was doing like a live broadcast during it. He was crying. I was like, all right, it wasn't just me. All right, okay, all right. I feel pretty good. So I say that to say, expect the unexpected. Disney has not shied away from spending whatever money they need to spend for them to do whatever they want to do in these shows. And like I told you guys, it's between $100 to $200 million they spent on this show. And if you've been watching these past few weeks, that's not on anything but actors. So that lets you know someone big is coming. And it's not Evan Peters. Someone else big is coming. Who that may be, that's for us to speculate. Next up, I want to ask you, Patrick, who do you think is the person that will rival Luke Skywalker's reveal in The Mandalorian Season 2?
I've got, oh God. I had 4. I'm trying to break it down to 2.
Okay.
So selfishly, I want Deadpool. I just want Deadpool. Just for at the end of the series, if, like we've talked about in weeks past, it goes to black and she says mutants. And you hear Deadpool go, what the shit biscuits? Like that. That's what I want to hear, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, is this is this where Hugh Jackman comes in? I mean, like, so if you're talking like if Elizabeth Olsen is trying to compare this to the Luke Skywalker reveal in The Mandalorian, it's got to be the guy that started the franchise, i.e. Hugh Jackman of the X-Men, if that's the direction, obviously, with this past episode, they are going, right? I mean, like, I don't think that's too far-fetched, and especially, you know, and Hugh Jackman has been on record. He will not come back as Wolverine unless he's going to be an Avenger, which with Phase 5 and everything that's going to be rolling down the pipe, I think that's, like, in my head, that's a feasible scenario.
For me, I made the question up. I don't even like playing this game. I've told you guys numerous times. I don't like the multiverse. I don't like time travel. It's a headache. It opens the door for people to ask for things that just shouldn't be asked for. I yelled at you guys a few weeks ago, and you guys were like, it would be dope to see Wesley as Blade. Why? We have a new one. No, it wouldn't be cool. We had 3 movies. It's okay. We don't need more.
Right.
But you know, to play along, a lot of people have said Michael Fassbender. I'm saying you're not off, but you have the wrong Magneto. Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
He's the guy that would make jaws drop, because a lot of people are already Michael Fassbender, of course. It's the more recent one. You know, it's you know, as far as relevancy, not acting wise, but relevancy, it's the bigger name of the two. People know Michael Fassbender more than they know Ian McKellen. You know, it would be the guy that, you know, you would go after Michael Fassbender. I say no. And go ahead, Pat.
Well, I was just going to ask, because with the way the episode ended this week, with you know, with the recast and everything else going with the younger crew, and I hate to say it, and he's one of my favorite actors of all time, and Ian McKellen. We got to think like longevity pushing the franchise forward as well. So
it's like Deadpool said in Deadpool 2. They got to be young enough where they can carry the franchise for the next 10 to 12 years.
Thank you, Tia.
See, this is why I said I don't like the multiverse, because you can have your cake and eat it too. You can bring in Ian McKellen to kind of give a nod to like the OG X-Men, and then just cast your actual new Magneto down the line when you introduce the actual X-Men. Evan, that's what I'm saying. Evan Peters popping up here doesn't mean he'll be Quicksilver when they drop the X-Men movie 4 or 5 years from now.
Right.
It's the nod. So that's why I say I don't like this stuff, because it gets people going, well, clearly that's your Quicksilver for like the next decade. No,
but I don't even think that he's Quicksilver, really. But we can get into that later.
We'll get into that later, because I tell you, the tinfoil hat was firmly on my head immediately when she opened that door. But Tia, I'll go to you. Who do you think will appear that will rival Luke Skywalker?
Well, first of all, I wanted to comment that it definitely can't be Evan Peters as Pietro, because we knew Evan Peters was gonna come in. Like, that was on, you know, in the news and everything. Evan Peters is gonna come in. I feel like part of us kind of felt like, oh, well, is he going to play someone else, or are they going to have him play the character he played in the Fox Marvel movie? So I'm hoping that that's not the big reveal that Elizabeth Olsen was talking about, because if so, that doesn't live up at all. You know, I don't really know who would make me sit there and like drop my jaw necessarily, because I don't feel like I would feel that way even about, and don't get me wrong, love Patrick Stewart as, you know, Professor X, love Ian McKellen as Magneto, like love all of them, but just for some reason I just don't feel like that would have me, you know, just going, oh my God. So I'll just have to see. But before you pass it along, John, I just wanted to say I love Marty's background right now. And I feel like the whole thing is kind of telling for what we're going to see going forward in WandaVision, with the two of them facing off. So I very much like that.
No, for sure. And those are because I'm very big about promotional art. Those are the two face shots from the Civil War movie. When they were doing the face shots of all the heroes, those are the two face shots from obviously Team Cap and Team Iron Man. So that's very much fan made, but it looks great. Looks great. Love it. It's coming, and you can kind of sense like I don't want to say vulnerability, but like the sadness in Wanda's face right there. And Vision's just kind of like, I have no idea what any of these emotions are. But definitely love the backdrop. Dom, I'm going to you next, man. What would drop your jaw? Who appearing would drop your jaw, man?
So initially, my thought was maybe Kang would expose himself as being like one of the next possible big bads, but I was thinking, and during the episode, like when they showed her taking Vision's corpse, right? And I was like, what are they doing with them? Like they have them all taken apart, and we know that the W in SWORD stands for weapon now instead of worlds. And I can't, and I'm gonna give my credit because the thought was I was wondering, and then it went away. Then there's a guy named Moose_0 on TikTok, and he's like a comic guy, and he had a very good theory that went along with my thought, and his was that Vision is at some point going to escape the Hex, but if he does, he becomes a corpse again. Then SWORD would try to repair him to be able to send him back in to help stop Wanda, but when they repair him, he returns to his factory settings of Ultron. So then we get Ultron coming back to do what he does. And so that was as my thought into his theory. And I was like, you know what? That would be something that would be very shocking and unexpected. And just the fact that every time I get done watching WandaVision, Disney Plus suggests Ultron, like Age of Ultron to watch. I'm just like, are you telling me something? I don't know. So I'm gonna go with Ultron.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it goes right to that because it's the first time we see both characters.
Right.
So it's like their factory default. It's like, oh, here, because this is when they first arrived. Yeah, James Spader isn't cheap. So, yeah, I could understand James Spader.
I mean, he is kind of a big deal, right?
He's a huge deal. I'm a huge Blacklist fan. So
oh, God.
Everything.
I mean,
everything.
Yeah, Just get out of here if you don't like the Blacklist. Period.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Don't even talk to me. Don't even look my direction if you don't like the Blacklist. We got from Michelle. Michelle
I've
said,
never watched it, by the way. Sorry.
No, if you've never watched it, that's fine. But not liking it is different.
You're right.
It's like, see, if someone goes, I've never seen Push, I would go, okay. But if someone said, I hate Push, I'd have to throw hands, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, Tia, we got to go throw some hands, you know? But Michelle, friend of the show, she's saying her pick is Doctor Strange. I can tell you Mr. Cumberbatch is not cheap. So, yeah, that would add up for sure.
Yeah, but is that Luke Skywalker level? I don't think it is.
Not really, because we're expecting it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not really.
You expect other MCU characters to go into other MCU projects, especially considering the connection between all of it, like with Wanda and Doctor Strange.
Let me shoot Michelle some bail. Technically, there wouldn't be many people they would throw in there that we wouldn't in our mind go, yeah. Like, I know Angel keeps throwing Tobey Maguire out there, right? That wouldn't drop my jaw only because we've just been hearing numerous rumors that he's in the next Spider-Man. So it's like, okay, well, it makes sense if she's opening up the multiverse, like that could be the first time he steps out, and then that's what leads us into Spider-Man 3. To me, the reason why the Luke reveal hit so hard is there was not a soul on the planet that could have definitively said, nah, they're going to use Luke. Nah, they're going to use Luke for sure. No one thought that. Everybody was thinking Ezra from Star Wars Rebels. Or the kid from the last Star Wars game that came out. So that's why that shocked everyone, is because you didn't see it coming. But go ahead, Clay.
Well, and I think to that point, and first off, I want to thank for the invitation. I'm excited to be here tonight. So it's good to see everybody. I don't think that the way they set up that season of The Mandalorian, we were expecting that surprise, right? So I think it adds to, that jaw-dropping moment. Whereas, we're talking about this massive thing happening in episode 5 of WandaVision, right? So everybody's already postulating who's it going to be, so I don't think we're ever going to, just by that alone, we're not going to be as surprised, right, when it happens. I think to simply answer your question, and you already did, Ian McKellen is, when you ask that question, that's who I'm thinking, right? As soon as I saw Evan, I thought that would be awesome to bring him in, and not necessarily, I felt like Evan Peters was an announcement and a confirmation that Fox IP is now Disney IP, right? And we've expanded our playground. So I think pulling characters in from that universe is just going to add to that. And I don't think that because I understand where you're coming from, Patrick, that you don't want him to be the fixture or necessarily the Magneto going forward, but I don't think that he has to be. That he can still make a presence, do something, and they can continue the story. But
yeah,
all right, that makes sense.
I completely agree. Right before I go to you, Tia, I just wanted to say the reason why Ian McKellen was like 100% for me was there was a nod to him in this episode. Raise your hand if you caught it. If you caught the nod to Ian McKellen's Magneto in this episode. No one?
Nope.
The nod to Ian McKellen's Magneto was when Wanda locked the guns on all of the sword agents. Outside
the first X-Men movie.
Yeah. X-Men 1. And a lot of people are like, oh, no, but he shot them. He didn't.
No.
Xavier used Sabretooth to choke out Magneto to stop him before he got a chance to. So again, I'm not saying it's a callback, but I look at it kind of like daughter, like father,
a stretch of foreshadowing, maybe.
Right. It looks like, to me, I paid attention to little tidbits like that, because if you count how many times in this episode they use the word fast, speed, too quickly, they were alluding to the idea of a speedster, albeit one of her sons is a speedster.
Right.
It was letting you know the idea of speed and coming back from the dead were very vital to this episode. So when you see him at the door, you're kind of like, oh yeah, okay, all right, I see that. So that's why, in my mind, Ian McKellen is important, because I saw that little nod and I'm like, could mean something, could mean absolutely nothing. But Tia, I'm gonna go over to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out there, as far as say surprises that would really shock me, it would have to be, and if it's from say the Fox Marvel universe, it would have to be someone that we haven't seen in a really long time and we never expected to see again. We've seen Ian McKellen, we've seen Patrick Stewart even after their trilogy was done. If they brought someone in like James Marsden to be Cyclops again, it'd be like, oh, that's really shocking. I never expected for that to freaking happen. So that level for me would be the level.
To me though, and Prime, I'm gonna go to you next. To me, it can't be surprise. It has to be jaw dropping. I have to take my jaw off, put a new one on, allow that to drop, and then do it all over again. Because it wasn't necessarily the surprise of Luke. It was how big Luke Skywalker is, let alone how big he was in that time frame of Star Wars. He's the guy that killed Vader and the Emperor. Again, look at Moff Gideon when he sees that it's Luke. He's like, I'd rather kill myself. This is the guy that killed the two most powerful beings in all of the galaxy.
Well, he didn't kill the Emperor. Let's be
no. He didn't, but people think that. No one outside of Luke and the two dead people actually know. But to me, it has to be significant enough to where it's like, whoa, what? Him? No. I've seen some people like, oh, well, what about maybe Captain? That to me is just not again, if she didn't bring up Luke Skywalker, I wouldn't be this deep into this. I would just go, well, whoever would be really cool to see. but she said it would rival. And I'm like, she must not have had Kleenex next to her bed watching this.
Big words.
I don't know what she's talking about. She must be a casual Star Wars fan. That's what that sounded like. But Prime, I'm gonna pass it to you, but I'm gonna give you a little caveat, because a lot of good luck is in our favor, me and you specifically, because our Knicks won today. So, sprinkle that in, who do you think is the reveal that's big enough to rival a Luke Skywalker?
I have no idea, man. I was thinking you guys are named. We were talking about Ian McClellan. We talked about I don't know if you guys mentioned before I came on. Patrick Stewart. I don't know how they would do Patrick Stewart being at the events that happened in Wolverine, but do we really know that it's really that big? I mean, she says that it's a big deal, right? But is it really a big deal to all of us? The way that she's making it, could it just be somebody who is not? It's not going to blow anybody's socks off the way it's being blown up, right? Mm-hmm. So outside of everybody that's been named, I've got probably like lesser names. I heard you mention the Tobey Maguire thing, right? All right. What about this? And of course, this is not going to blow anybody's socks off. But Juwan, from I guess a podcast that I did with you a while back. One of a villain that we're going to get anyway in another movie, but we may possibly get them a little early. And what if it's William Dafoe? What's the Green Goblin? I mean, if we're putting it out there, we're going to get him, in the Spider-Man movie anyway, right? Supposedly, he's been seen around the set and so on and so forth. To me, I think he's vastly underrated when we talk about these Marvel villains or him playing that character. Nobody talks about him. And I thought he was like hands down the perfect choice. So outside of a lot of the obvious names that's been thrown around, we come down a level, maybe not blowing everybody's socks off. But I mean, when was he in that movie? Was it 2001?
Yeah, 2002.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
2002, I think it was. Or that might have been, yeah.
Yeah, what were you, like 9? I mean, my God.
No, exactly. I was. No, I wasn't.
So we think about Luke. I mean, the first Star Wars was 77, and then we went into there was a time period before. I mean, outside of what we got to see in the later movies, but still, that you didn't expect to see him come back. So if we're coming down a little bit and getting away from the obvious, I'm gonna throw my man William Dafoe out there as a Green Goblin. We get to see him a little early.
That would be awesome.
It would be great. I mean, all these would be, let me just say, everyone's pick would be amazing to see. Just not awe-inspiring, genre-shifting, world-breaking like seeing Luke. I'm sorry. It really bothers me she said that. If you guys
what if everybody's disappointed? That's what I'm saying. What if it ends up not being that big? She's just saying it's big because it's somebody we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, we don't know what her idea of big really is until.
Yeah, but to me, it's like whenever you watch, and Chris, you know this. Whenever you watch like a player that's disgruntled on their team, you always listen to what he says, and he'll say something that makes you go, "Oh, he don't want to be here." To me, it's always like they know what they're saying. Like, it was like Feige didn't go, "Yo, like really hype this." Like, no, that's probably just really how she felt. I just think she's incorrect.
Right.
Like even if Hugh Jackman pops up, would that be amazing? Yes. Better than Luke? No. Like no. So.
But I think it's unfair because I think that's an apples and oranges comparison, though. I mean, you can't take something as iconic as Star Wars that started a revolution in 1977 and try to compare what is going to happen in potentially the last episode of an MCU series on Disney Plus. I mean, like that's I think that's unfair.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and AJ in our comment section is saying she didn't say that. But I'm reading here, everyone's headline, every major news outlet's headline is WandaVision star teases series Luke Skywalker moment, teases its own Luke Skywalker moment. WandaVision will have Luke Skywalker moment. I'm saying, and I get what she's saying. She's saying seeing Luke arrive, rip through those droids, that was huge. So you see Magneto come and help her defend her home, that would be equally, for that show, huge. Don't disagree. Just wish she had just said, this will be huge, like nothing you've seen before. Something like that. I'm like, yeah, all right, yeah, let's move on. Great.
Don't try to quantify it.
Don't quantify it. It's just impossible.
Who was it? Was it Paul Bettany? Who was it that said that it was someone that they had always wanted to work with? So
that was Paul Bettany. Yeah.
So we're guessing it's somebody that's very accomplished. If you go back and look at their history, like we were talking about, Patrick Stewart, Ian McClellan, even to me, William Dafoe. I mean, it's people that are that are real accomplished.
Right. I mean, we might as well just let it out of the bag. It's obviously me, guys. I'll be showing up. I'll be floating down. I'll be Batmite. That's why she's saying it's huge, because I'll be blending DC with Marvel. So that'll be really huge, guys. So stay tuned.
I was going to ask that. I'm sorry, Clay.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Juwan, wouldn't that freak you out if it was like all of a sudden Ben Affleck or something, and they're like, "Guess what, guys? We're merging the two universes."
Yeah, you talk about tears. I'd be on the ground for hours rewatching that one moment. Yeah, you guys would definitely have to come check on me after that for sure. Just seeing Ben, even if it's not combining, just having Ben in the MCU.
Like if he was just playing some random character, you'd be like.
If it was Ben Affleck playing Ben Affleck, it would be enough for me. I'd lose my mind. But I'm sorry, Clay. What were you gonna say?
No. Go ahead. Dom had something coming up.
Oh, go ahead, Dom.
Oh, I was saying, what if it was with their mentions, slight mentions of like Fantastic Four? What if it's Chris Evans as Human Torch? It's Chris Evans, but then he turns out to be Human Torch instead of Cap.
Yeah, I would hate that so much, but yeah,
it would be amazing,
dude. I'm a representative of the kind of nerdy girls tonight because I am part of the podcast. Kate, I will speak on her behalf. She would have the biggest nerdgasm of all time if Johnny Storm came back.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be so cool. It would be so awesome.
My mindset is always no to stuff like that, because then it's like and it's not for no to seeing that really cool moment. It's only no because these are some of the worst fans in the history of fandom. So it opens Pandora's box for so many old names to come creeping right back in.
Mm-hmm. And wait, the Fantastic Four fandom? I mean, I know about the Spider-Man fandom, but
I just mean fandom of the old Marvel movies. Like you'll start hearing, well, that means Wesley will pop up, and then Nicolas Cage on his motorcycle.
Just
Dolph Lundgren's coming back to play Frank Castle.
Like,
that would be awesome.
I want none of that. But all right, let's move into this episode. This was a crazy episode. I do want to give them a lot of props for blending in. God, why can't I think of the name of what was the name of the show her sisters were? Full House. They blended in Full House.
Yep.
And they did it so well. What were you gonna say, Pat?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that, because like that was one of the things KJ said earlier today when we recorded, was like you look at Elizabeth Olsen and she's one of the Olsens, right? Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until this episode you're like, wow, that is a grown-up Michelle Tanner, right? Yeah. And like the hair, the overalls, everything, you're like, wow, that is an Olsen right there. And it was uncanny. It was like creepy. It was super creepy.
I will say this. I will be very disappointed if one of her kids does not say, "You got it, dude." Like she asked him to do something. Like, "You got it, dude." What a waste. What a complete waste if that's not said.
Right.
But no, this is a great episode. One thing I wanted to point out before I move to our first person to break down their thoughts of this episode was, you guys all saw the photos of Vision holding the two boys in like the different costumes. Did you guys notice his face progressively got worse? Like it got sadder per photo.
Huh.
I think that's showing the progression of him noticing more and more and more. It's not what it's supposed to be that he's in. So Martin, I want to start off with you. What were your thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, I've got so many. Like I said, I typed them all out. Like I said, of course, we're in the Full House Family Ties mode, which I kind of liked even their little theme song where they kept talking about making it up as they go along, which is exactly what, to my way of thinking, that's what Wanda's kind of doing.
Yeah.
And then this is your fault, Mr. Juwan, about I'm sitting there picking on every little thing. So, so of course I'm thinking, okay, well, Family Ties, that was an Ubu production, and it goes, sit, Ubu, sit, good dog. And they did the same thing with Sparky when they was trying to train him. Said, no, okay, that's just silly. But this was a great episode, and I thought it was really a great Paul Bettany thing, chance for him to show his acting chops. So we now, like I said, questions. So we now know that when Wanda controls these people, obviously it hurts, at least judging by what Monica said, and also what Norm said when Vision snapped him out of it for a minute. So it's not like it's painless to these people, which also I think was kind of funny when they said with how when Monica came out and said that Wanda's doing all this. And they mentioned later on when Monica's flying the drone in, she's saying that she's controlling the TV show. She allows you to see what she wants you to see, which is why they couldn't see the drone on the show. They could see it through their camera, but they couldn't see it on the show. So Wanda's got that kind of thing going on. Talking about Vision, getting sad because he's kind of realizing what's going on. This brings up a thing I was discussing with Kathy earlier about, if we remember Bruce, back when they were talking about separating the Mind Stone from Vision, he said that we might be able to remove the Mind Stone, and he may not die from that because maybe the best parts of Vision will stay with him. Makes you wonder if maybe that's kind of what's going on, even though he doesn't really have the Mind Stone, but there's still enough there, which is why he's conscious of what's going on. And that would make some kind of sense. Of course, now, yeah, and of course, they were talking about where they took him all apart before Wanda gathered him back up. I think they said that was kind of like in his will. He wanted to make sure that he wasn't weaponized, so he made it where they took him apart. So obviously, she put him back together again, but maybe she did too good a job because.
I'm with you, Pat.
Yeah. And let's see. Okay, mention that. Okay. I thought it was interesting when Agnes came in and basically was waiting for Wanda to reset when she was talking about watching the kids. And I'm assuming Wanda was pretending to not know what she was talking about for Vision's sake, because I mean, that's exactly what she was doing in different episodes. When something didn't go exactly the way she wanted, she just kind of rewound and redid it, which is what Agnes was telling. So obviously Agnes knows a whole lot what's going on, which again brings back the Agatha Harkness thing. I think there's more going on there than we're seeing so far, but she definitely knows what's going on there. And of course, Wanda just showing her powers right in front of Agnes. Vision's going, what are you doing? We said we weren't going to be doing that. And said, I don't care. I think you should show yourself too now. So, and I don't know if that's, again, just her way of maybe trying to get around what Vision's questioning what's going on. But I mean, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but do you think something happened between Captain Marvel and Monica? Because when they were talking about the discussion between, who's more powerful, Wanda and Captain Marvel, she kind of just said, "Oh, we're not talking about her." So obviously something happened, and probably maybe we'll find out in Captain Marvel 2 what that was. But there's obviously some kind of a rift there. Also found it interesting when Wanda was telling, by the way, folks, there's spoilers here, where Wanda was talking about the dog passing away and that they don't need to age past their grief because grief is a powerful thing, which of course I think is what's kind of driving Wanda in this case, Mephisto notwithstanding. And obviously the boys know what Wanda can do, mommy can do, because they're sitting there basically telling them, bring the dog back. So families live forever, or forever. So he's a part of our family. Bring him back. Also, the Kevlar in Monica's clothes, which makes you wonder that maybe that Wanda, basically she just reconstituted her clothes using what was there, which was the Kevlar vest and everything, which is why her clothes were bulletproof. So maybe Wanda, there's a limitation of Wanda's powers over just creating something out of thin air. She has to have something to work with. And finally, the Evan Peters thing. So do we think Evan Peters is actually, just like most of the people in that town, is just someone she kind of, an actual person she grabbed to fill that role, or are we thinking it's actually supposed to be actually her brother?
Well, I mean, you great points you had there for so much of that. I'll say it's possible. Yes, that is very, very, very possible. But what I leaned on and what I've been telling everyone from my standpoint is the reason why I don't think he's necessarily someone from the town is he showed up right when Wanda needed him. I mean, like, needed him the most. It seems more like he was placed there to keep her calm, to not blow everything up. So to me, I view it as, and let me go a step further. Whoever Evan Peters is playing, like whoever is Pietro, because that's, if you read the credits, they do not call him Quicksilver. He's only Pietro. So I believe whoever he is playing is the missing person Jimmy Woo is looking for. And remember, we saw him. We have to now see how they respond to seeing him. Because remember, Darcy's like, you recasted? Like, I'm interested to see what the director of Sword feels when he sees him, how Jimmy feels when he sees him. Because Jimmy's response might be, because here's the biggest thing, and the reason why the missing person means more to this show than people are talking about. Jimmy Woo said to Monica, not only does no one not know anything about him, people are saying he doesn't exist. So it seems like whoever this missing person is can go from place to place and wipe minds clear of whatever he was doing, whoever he was, anything like that. He can wipe people's minds. So, and I'm going to go right to you, Pat. So I do think, to your question, Martin, I do think it's hand in hand. I don't think Wanda was controlling Agnes in that moment. I think Wanda really is taken aback when people break character. That's why she said, Vision, do you think I make people pee? I make them brush their teeth? Like, how powerful do you think I am here? I can't do all that. That's too much work. I do think someone else is keeping this going, and she's just one of the more important pieces on the chessboard. But she is not the most important piece of the chessboard.
I mean, and
whoever's controlling it.
And really quick before you go to Patrick, she did say, I don't know how this began. And I almost feel like that's sincere.
Right. I don't think she's lying.
100%.
That's why I told you guys back in episode 1. I told you guys she does not know what's going on, but she is not trying to figure it out either. She's kind of just going with it.
So here's the other point about that. So like she doesn't understand how this started, but like what you talked about in what was it? Last week's episode when we saw the sword side and the compound outside of the hex was that, like who was the one person that didn't have a driver's license on the whole board, right? Is that the missing person? Because everyone was quantified in the whole in that whole story up to this point that we know of, except for who? Agnes, or Agatha, as it were, as we've been calling her for weeks and weeks now.
Right.
So who's to say that Agatha isn't that person and she slipped up and said, and now it's just like, oh, where is this person?
I will I will also say a lot of people were reading into Dottie not being on that board. Remember how I told you guys last week?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Emma Caulfield's character. Yeah.
Well, remember how I told you guys last week? It's very possible that board's not done.
Yes.
If you look at the board this episode, there is a new entrant on that board, and it's the mailman. So it's feeding more into my theory of they're just trying to figure out who everyone is that they've seen, and they just haven't gotten to Dottie yet, necessarily. Or like I said, or it could mean she's more than meets the eye. I will not keep fighting that fight with you guys. Maybe she does mean but I just wanted to update you guys that another person was added to that board, just signaling that they're just not done with their, it's so much going on. It's hard to like, all right, in the midst of people being projected out, like, let me go put faces on this board. And one more thing before I go back to you, Pat, that I wanted to touch on, Martin, your comment about Monica and Carol Danvers. There's beef there for sure. 100% ground beef there. I do believe part of their issue might be Monica feels though, because remember at the beginning of the last episode, the dialogue I told you guys was them kind of saying like Monica has to go live with her grandmother. Maybe Monica does harbor some resentment that, Captain Marvel's the reason why she lost time with her mom growing up. That's very, very, very possible. Maybe that's a little bit. Because remember, she lost 3 or 4 years of her life. And in that course, her mom died. So it's like, not only did I not get enough time when I was young, when my mom just went off world, and the most important time when she was dying, I wasn't there, So maybe she just holds the resentment of Captain Marvel should have done more. She should have stopped Thanos so my mom didn't have to, you know what I'm saying? I think it's more so that than it is like Captain Marvel like slapped her in the face one day and like she just held on to it. So there is definitely beef there, and it was made for people to kind of like hang on to that of like there's something there. So we'll see. But I did love the line of like she could have trashed Thanos herself if not for him just calling the ultimate blitz. I love that because it was like
right.
Wanda was like 4 seconds from just being like, you know what? I'll just do it myself. Like, Thor couldn't get it done, strongest Avenger, right? Like, I'll do it. Tia, what's the saying, Tia? Girls get it done, right? Like, we needed Wanda to step up.
Girls get shit done. That like
word.
Every episode of WandaVision, anytime Wanda does something, I tweet out strongest Avenger. Like, I'm sorry, that's not your title. That's Wanda's.
The next Avengers movie, when Thor hears that, he's just gonna go, excuse me.
No, he'll
until Lady Thor comes in.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow,
that's true.
Yeah.
As soon as she shows up, it's like, nah,
right?
I'm not even the strongest Thor. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah,
let alone Avenger. Yeah, sorry. But yes, I wanted to bring this up, and if anyone has this in their notes, tell me, and I'll immediately go to you. I don't want to take it away from you. Did anyone notice the relevancy of Sparky? And B, did anyone else understand the relevancy of his death?
I don't know that I had a relevance is a strong word. Like it struck out to me, and I tied Sparky to Pietro, right? That she was explaining to the boys about grief and that they couldn't get past. Like you can't just blip yourself or make yourself grow past that, right? You have to experience it. And I felt like her kind of forcing her kids to go through that pain subconsciously brought her brother back, right? So I hadn't really connected the dots beyond that point, but it just seemed like a subconscious thing. And I think you raised a great point earlier, like that he showed up exactly when he needed to, right? That things were falling apart and Vision was really challenging what she's doing and trying to get to the bottom of what this everything is, right? And then he shows up. I think the only thing that I'm curious about, I almost wonder if Wanda doesn't realize that she's controlling as much as she is, right? That she hasn't given that, like that she mentioned, I'm not thinking about those individuals in this place. But, when she went to get Vision's body and she just wants to escape into a world, and thinks about television and like the perfect sitcom neighborhood and things like that, and creates it and doesn't realize that she's got to bring in all these individuals to be background characters and mailmen and Dottie and everybody else. So they fill that because she wants that subconsciously,
Right.
But they're prisoners. And I don't think to me, I wonder if she doesn't realize that, right? Like,
right. Yeah, no, that's a great point. To piggyback off that just very quickly, everyone keeps assuming Norm meant Wanda. There's a reason he did not say Wanda. It's very possible when he said she's doing this, it could be Agatha Harkness. It does not mean it's Wanda. This show is very much making you go, Wanda did it. She's bad. Put her in the ground. I hate it. And meanwhile, Wanda every episode just keeps trying to tell us, like, so elegantly, like, it's not even like that, guys. Like I'm controlling my house and that's it. I don't know what's going on out there. Yeah. So just something to keep an eye on. That there was a reason he didn't say. He very easily could have just said Wanda. Go ahead.
And one of the things in the comment section too, JPP, Paul from the Kind of Nerdy Network, he's like stages of grief. Michelle also agreed. Like, yes, I agree about her going through the stages of grief. And they also they're also saying, like Darcy was really surprised as well. Like she recast Pietro, and again from our earlier comments saying, is Pietro someone else as well?
Yeah, no, very, very, very good.
That's coming in from the comments. Thank you everyone for commenting on the YouTube from all the groups around.
Absolutely. Very, 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 very great questions, guys. Thank you. Keep them coming. Please keep them coming. Ryan, I'm going to go to you. Welcome in.
Yeah.
I was saying before, and I'm going to lead this right into you. The dog is from a comic of Vision, where Vision created his own android family.
Yeah.
Kind of quite like this, and his name was Sparky. And also in that comic, the dog got into some leaves that were underground that killed him. That were whose leaves? Agatha Harkness's leaves.
Yeah.
So, there's some spider webs there.
Yeah, I have no doubt that she's Agatha at this point.
Right? It's like, come on, what else do we need? Her to come out and go,
yeah, like put on witch hat or something, yeah.
Right? But Ryan, your thoughts on this episode?
It continues to get better and better. I mean, I know I had kind of like a uncertainty as like we got away from like the straight up sitcom style, because I almost just liked living in that world as its own thing. But honestly, as we just continue to go down this path, I'm excited to see what's next. I mean, technically, I know a couple things that are next, but like I think I have way better context now after seeing this episode what is going to play out. Honestly, you guys were saying it a second ago, like her feeling like I don't totally know what's going on here. I think she made a deal with the devil, literally and figuratively, because I think she probably had this mental breakdown, going back to what I said before on previous episodes. She probably made this deal with Mephisto at some point. Like he probably came to her maybe in a human form or whatever, like pitch this idea, almost like I think of if you've seen the movie Ghost Rider, when who is it, Peter Fonda is the devil in that one. I think he actually is Mephisto. Meets up, has him sign away, here's the deal we're making. So he's probably creating this microcosm of a world and having her kind of half remember it, and then she's also manipulating Vision, as we saw in the episode, so that he's alive now and part of this world. After seeing this, I'm wondering what happens when Vision or any of the characters step outside this world, That's really my question going forward.
Yeah, it's I mean, we'll see that soon from the trailer. It's coming where we see Vision come out, and it looks like if you zoom up really closely, he's dropping from the reality of he's dead. But I want to go to you, Dom, because you brought up a great point that no one's talking about, Dom, and that is in that security footage, Vision was dismantled, not to honor his wishes, but because they are building weapons and they're using Vision to build them. So it's very possible that Wanda didn't break in just to rescue the love of her life to create this reality, that she found out that they were using Vision for weapons and rescued him. And once she got somewhere safe, somebody whispered in her ear, "You can bring him back, Wanda." And then we got what we got. But Dom, elaborate on that, man, and then your thoughts on this episode.
No, I think, I mean, to continue what Darcy was trying to say, Hayward is a dick.
Yes, he is.
He may, in fact, be. I kind of feel like, so I've been looking at so Agnes, which we know is probably Agatha Harkness, the AG and then the NES at the end of those two names together make Agnes. So she's got to be Agatha Harkness. And the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was, convincing the world he didn't exist. So he may be the Ralph and the missing person and Hayward. It may be all the same person. I feel like that's not too far-fetched, especially with the, hexagon of his plaques on the wall. I mean, it's there for a reason. But no, it's definitely a possibility because he knows a lot more than he lets on, but he kind of plays this tough guy role, but he's trying to destroy things. He kind of, that whole with the drone, is very much I need to cover my tracks. What was your point of I want to blow this up real quick so no one finds out what's going on, because he sees it unraveling and eventually he may be outed. So I do think that Monica has her powers, with the little, when they scan, there is kind of a shape of the nape of the neck, this little crease right here, but it's all white. That could just be pure energy. So, and then and she doesn't know that she's that powerful yet. And she said that when she got shot through, she was protected, but it might not be Wanda protecting her. She protected herself because she didn't want to die. So I think eventually she will tap into some abilities. But yeah, I do think that Sword is definitely, we have there's always these big groups of AIM and SHIELD and Sword and Hydra, who all have some kind of decent intent when they start and eventually go left at some point. And it's not always malicious, just that they think they have the best way to do things. And I think SHIELD may be the ones that go, or Sword may be the ones that go bad quicker than the other ones have, because I just don't trust Hayward, man. Nothing about him sits right with me, especially that when we first see him and he's kind of salty, about Monica's comments about how you got your job is because my mom, there was no one else to pick because my mom's gone. It was just you.
Also, Dom, really quickly, it was a super dick move. He knew she was back. He could have cleared her card for her to just scan right in. That was a power move. Yeah. I don't know how often you guys have seen power moves. That was the biggest power move you could make of forgot you need me. That's right. Here you go. Let me scan.
Knew she was coming, and then knew she was coming and didn't activate her card.
Yep.
But not there was. Oh, and I think that I think it is that Wanda is so powerful that she doesn't realize how powerful she is. I think that reality is starting to, these different realities are bleeding into hers because her grief is so strong that when she wants her brother back, it could either be her being that powerful or her kids. They grew when they wanted to. They were like, I can get a dog at 10.
Right.
It's very, and I've been watching a lot of things lately that play into how this show is playing out. I watched A Glitch in the Matrix, was a documentary. I watched that yesterday.
Yep.
I watched Black Bear yesterday. And this show, like, everything is everything and everything is nothing at the same time. And it makes me mad that I don't have definitive proof of anything until I actually see it. Because it, like, I was too the same way with Norm. I was thinking Agnes because he didn't say Wanda. So
Right.
if she's the only one who kind of is aware of everything that's going on, and she might not even be completely evil because every time Wanda is about to maybe have a breakdown or something's gonna be difficult, she pops up to help her. So I don't know completely if it's an evil intent or maybe she wants control versus Mephisto has control. I don't know, man. It's I just have this. I'm trying to connect dots and it's not working. I made a spider web. I don't know what's going on.
No, go ahead.
But I do. But yeah, I think with when Darcy and Wu and Monica were at that board, there's a 4 that's drawn out like the Fantastic Four logo, and she's trying to text her, aerospace engineer friend who could possibly be Reed Richards, which leads into my maybe Chris Evans pop up if the Fantastic Four show up somehow. But yeah, man, there's a lot of things going on, and I'm waiting on, like, with Martin's background. It's usually WandaVision. Now you have WandaVision. Something bad's about to happen.
Well, and to expand on your point from a little bit ago, Dom, like the way he was taken apart, like the first thing from the security feed that I thought of was from the first Avengers movie of Robert Downey Jr. going, "I'm sorry, Nick, what were you lying?" And like seeing him disassembled, like they were weaponizing him, because I mean, like, he's pure vibranium and he was arguably one of the strongest Avengers at the time before they knew what Wanda could do. So at that point, I'm thinking, all right, Vision was brought to life by the Mind Stone. Wanda was given her powers by the Mind Stone. So are the two symbiotic to where she could, like how they talked about, like she brought him back to life. Now, granted, last week's episode seeing like, the dead Vision ghost in that, like, real quick snap that she saw. But, like all things being equal, like her powers are derived from the same stone that gave Vision life as well. So does that have any credence moving forward in the sense that is Vision going to be alive?
Yeah, and I did notice too, and I don't know if anybody else saw it. If you go back and watch the episode, it looks like Vision's stone is glowing at certain points. Looks like it's pulsating. And I kept rewinding it to see if maybe it was just like light hitting it in certain angles, but I could be reaching a little bit. But
no, I actually saw that too, as a matter of fact.
I don't know what that means. Yeah. I don't know if it's him being more cognizant of what's going on, which led to their little face-off. I don't know. There's a lot of things going on. And lastly, I will say that it is interesting to have Evan Peters, Pietro, in the 80s, because if I think Days of Future Past, it was in the 80s, and then he happens to be the one that shows up. So
no, it was in the 60s, wasn't it? It was Nixon.
It was 70s, and Apocalypse was 80s.
Apocalypse was 80s.
Okay.
So it wasn't necessarily when he first arrived. It was the guy that was in a time of the 80s that we've seen, placing him in the 80s. So it was more so to say it wasn't so Wanda would necessarily recognize. It was so we could recognize. Legit, the last time we saw him was he in that last X-Men movie with Phoenix? It was so god.
Yeah, he was. He gets killed like going up in that street fight or whatever. He goes up a little bit, and then I think she. Oh, is that or maybe that happens to Jennifer Lawrence? But I think she throws him off to the side, and Jennifer Lawrence, I think, gets killed in that scene too. But yeah, he gets like tossed aside like nothing.
Yeah.
Spoilers. I haven't seen it, man.
Oh well, you had your chance.
I will tell you
that was like 2 years ago.
Well,
if you're looking for a good X-Men movie, just wait till Kevin Feige makes his. That's
Word.
not the one.
All right, I'm there.
That's not the one you watch. Mystique as the leader of the X-Men, yeah, that's not the one you watch. Anyway, Tia, I want to go to you, Tia, and I want to kind of go conspiracy theory here as I pass it to you. We saw her kids age themselves to get the dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what no one's talking about is the fact that Wanda's back was turned to the kids when they aged to 5. Who was with the kids before they aged to 5? Agatha Harkness. She was
Agnes, come on. We don't have confirmation yet.
She was seeing how Wanda was starting to break under the pressure of being a new mom. Like, it was a lot for her. So instead of having her freak out, let's make them talk, so the crying isn't what you have to worry about. They can talk now, it's all good. And then you see, it looks like she exuded so much power. She's over there drinking on the counter, like,
can I just say that was like an epic shot right there. Like, I mean, like that was like a textbook, like leg up, it's like, oh, I mean, like that was like an old school magazine shot. I loved how they did that.
So I want to ask something on this real quick.
Yeah.
So she's up in front of the cribs just before they age up, and she's putting lavender perfume or something over them or whatever it was. Do we feel like it looked almost like a potion bottle? Do we feel like there was any sort of magic at play with that little spray?
I'll say no.
The decanter?
If you know the history of lavender, a lot of people would put that in their kids' bath water and stuff to ward away demons.
Right.
So I think that was kind of like a nod to, like, it's supposed to get rid of the bad, but is she the bad that's warding on the bad?
Plus,
I think it was
is it
kind of
really
like
lavender though? I mean, that's what I'm
Oh
wondering.
yeah, it could have just been what she said, but to be fair, Agatha Harkness shouldn't need potions and stuff. She should be strong enough to just go, all right, you're 5. All right, enough of that crime.
Yeah, true.
But Tia, your thoughts on the episode, and your thought, did you notice that? Like, did that catch your eye on how Wanda wasn't involved in that specific moment when they aged themselves?
I mean, for me, that moment was more so showing that these kids are having the powers of their own. I mean, Agnes said it very obviously where she was like, that's the thing about kids. You can't control them. And I didn't think that line was put there by a mistake. I think to show Wanda, like, hey, you tried to control them when you said, and stop. And you would think that would stop them. And no, they kept crying. And if Wanda hadn't given them their little pep talk, they may have aged up further after Sparky was killed. So I'm thinking that it's the kids doing. But I have a few notes. Martin inspired me as we were talking. I was like, I need to write all this down because I'm going to forget something. I wanted to start first by saying justice for Sparky. I'm a dog lover and I don't ever want to see a dog die, even in the fictional sense. So I was like, I don't like this. But I want to start at the end of the episode and kind of work backwards. And I promise I'll get this out as fast as possible. Everyone I saw on like Tumblr and everything is freaking out over Evan Peters coming back as Quicksilver. Now, my personal thoughts is that he's not even playing Quicksilver, that this is something else. I think it's a little too on the nose to have him come back as Quicksilver. Yes, he's Pietro, but I think that's an illusion. I love Darcy, by the way, saying she recast Pietro. So we know this isn't a moment like Bruce Banner was Edward Norton and now Mark Ruffalo, and we didn't say anything because they're playing the same person, or when Don Cheadle replaced Terrence Malick. This is acknowledging like, hey, this is not the same guy. So I like that. But to me, the biggest thing that stood out, not the Evan Peters moment, was Vision revealing that he doesn't remember anything before this. That's shocking to me. It's like, so this is a Vision that does not remember Age of Ultron, Civil War, Infinity War, does not remember any of that. And that's huge to me, I feel like. And him saying that he's scared. And it was this really great moment, especially when she tried to, say, like, I can control things and get the credits to start going. And he's like, no, we're we're finishing this argument. You don't get to just roll credits on me. So I love that. To me, one of the biggest moments in this episode, which no one talked about yet, was freaking them sending the drone in, getting all confused, and Wanda showing that she could just easily come in and out of that little bubble whenever she wants to, and her finally in full, like, she's not in her 80s getup or anything. She's in her Avengers outfit, fully conscious, and just toss that freaking plane going, oh, boom, you looking for this, to quote, War Machine. But,
Oh
to
yeah,
me, that
Ultron.
was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
right.
I'm
Yeah,
telling you, Dom is winning right now, like loving Age of Ultron, because there's so much that's connected to Age of Ultron.
and see, KJ and I actually rewatched that this week because of
Really?
what you and especially what Dom's been talking about. It's great.
It's insane. So I love that scene. It just shows how powerful Wanda is, how conscious she is, and just like, when we first met Wanda in Age of Ultron, she was the villain.
Mhm.
And this whole time, it's kind of like she's been, trying to be the good guy, because she is, like, she has great qualities, but it's like, I love when Elizabeth Olsen kind of plays Wanda bad. It's very good. And her just having this standoff against Sword, and Monica trying to speak to her sensibly. And then, as you guys pointed out, though, the parallels between that scene with Wanda and Magneto from the early X-Men films. So just wonderful. I loved it. And then we talked about briefly, the Norm scene was so good. And just, again, seeing Vision starting to finally realize that things aren't really normal of what's going on, and just that whole, like, oh my God, these people are just under this spell that's very painful. Whatchamacallit. And the one last thing I'll say is, am I the only one who loves the dynamic of Jimmy, Darcy, and Monica? Like, that trio is
great.
amazing. They're so good. So yeah, that's everything I wanted to say about this episode. It was phenomenal. And I can't wait to see Vision and Wanda's dynamic moving forward, because I think in the first 2 or 3 episodes I had stated that, like, wow, hashtag relationship goals, they're amazing, I love it, it's so cute. And now I'm kind of like, now I kind of feel bad, because it's not 100% consensual at this point. Vision is very much out of the loop, and Wanda's kind of manipulating everything, and I'm like, ooh, I'm feeling conflict here. So but phenomenal job. It seems like every episode we say best episode yet, and I hope it continues going in that direction.
A quick note. I think the acting, I have not the acting in this last episode has been phenomenal. Like the dramatic acting that Norm did, and just that quick snap back and forth was great. And when Vision and Wanda are, really ramping up, it's like, this is really fantastic work. So just a quick
Yeah,
note.
Paul Bettany is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, John.
No,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to say, like, Paul Bettany is such a phenomenal actor. So it's great just, again, seeing flex his chops, seeing Elizabeth Olsen. And I love that Norm scene. He's at one moment, crying and pleading for everything to stop. And then what is the line he says? He goes, if it's an electronic email, where do I put the stamp? And it's like,
Yeah,
just that
right.
ability to go. It was so great.
But did anyone ask themselves how? So hypothetically, if Vision is dead and Wanda's dreaming him up, how does he have the power to go zap and get into his head and get his reality, his actual reality, and
What I
then
think
unzap it?
I think on that, it's the fact that he's like an outsider who isn't part of the sphere of control. He exists kind of within his own frame, but he's just like this soulless entity that's just kind of going through the motions. So I think it's because he exists kind of outside of that bubble, but he's in it, that he can kind of manipulate some of the stuff that's going on in there.
But how does he do that without having the power of the Mind Stone is my question.
That's true, but why does he? And him having it, is that just a facade, like we saw with the that brief moment where he looked like a zombie? I don't know if he actually has some level of life to him, but it seems like he's soulless.
To be fair, Vision has exuded powers that Vision does not have in the comics.
That's true.
Running fast is not Vision's power, but it was a way for people who don't read comics to kind of go, oh, that's why one of her sons will know how to run fast. Like, it wasn't that she did something with her brother. Vision can run fast. Like, oh, that makes sense.
Was anyone thinking that?
Yes, because I had someone ask me, someone was like, who out of the two of them runs fast? And I'm
the
like,
one person on the panel, Juan.
Like,
I
no.
think Amanda reminded me that. And she's
I'm like, no one.
Running?
Like, yeah, it's a little weird. I mean, no, but to me, to your question, Martin, about Wanda having her accent coming out of the sphere, she doesn't have it inside because she's trying to blend in. When she comes out, she is who she was before she entered. That's why she's in her Avengers clothes. So it literally lets you know that Wanda that went in doesn't come out how she is inside.
But it's super interesting that they decided to bring back that continuity, because it's not like we got it in Infinity War. They were like, oh shit, that's right, she has an accent. We should. It's like I thought away from the accent finally.
Yeah, I would be happy if they just threw that accent as far into the garbage as possible.
It's not as bad as it was, though. I'll admit that. I feel like it's gotten better.
It's just bad. Don't use it.
Between that and then the IT guy, the buddy of his, he did a great job being like bright and alert and being like a character of that time. But him emotional, I thought that looked like a really choppy performance. Like he was trying to force it. I couldn't really vibe with that, but he just that dude really feels like he's a part of that time. Any of those guys who are trying to be like a character straight out of the 1960s television series is just perfect. They've been all nailing that.
I'm gonna go to you, Pat, but there's a continuity issue. On the board last week under Norm's profile, it says that Vision zapped him into out of the trance, and he was asking about his family and everything. That happened this episode. So it leads me to ask, how the hell did they have it on the board last week if it just happened this week? So just something to keep an eye on. But Pat, I pass it over to you.
All right. So JPP, Paul from the Kind of Nerd Network, asked, is that power sympathetic resonance since Wanda attains it?
Who wants to answer that?
I mean, that's a good question. I
It
mean,
is.
like,
yes.
I mean,
The answer is yes. There we
thank
go.
you, Paul. Yeah. Thank you, Clay.
There you go. Perfect, Clay.
Yeah.
All right. I want to pass this to you, Clay, before you have to go. I want to kind of cater this question specifically to you because it's been on my mind. Did anybody notice the significance of the commercial this week? Okay, then Clay, I'll let you go into how you saw that commercial.
I should have Googled it before I joined tonight, but isn't that the city?
Yeah,
where
Lagos,
they were from? Yeah,
Lagos from
No,
Civil War.
not where they were from. That was
from Civil War, the beginning of Civil War. Yeah.
Okay. So that was
Now, what is even deeper of that is the color of the juice being red is them symbolizing the blood of the victims that Wanda killed, and it's her trying to wash away all that guilt to try to move past it. So it was, I don't know who's writing these episodes, but I gotta let you know you're good at your job.
Yeah.
You're pretty good at that job, but each week is supposed to highlight monumental moments of Wanda's life that she's trying to push this way, but they're pushing this way.
So there's doing side notes and commercials and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the commercials are for us, but really this is what's going on inside of Wanda's head. But that's why I said, you can't tell me Wanda's doing that. Why would she want to relive that? She wouldn't want the beeping of the toaster symbolizing when the Stark bomb that never went off, that had them really, had them scared.
So
want to relive this.
If Agatha Harkness is driving this, does Wanda see the commercials that are being broadcast out?
I don't think so. That's why I said I don't think Wanda's in control of everything. I think those are for the viewers.
Okay.
More so than they are for Wanda. I don't think she sees these at all.
Okay. So that's Agatha's way of getting, because she knows that people are going to pick up on that signal and are likely watching this show.
Mhm.
And that if she's throwing these nuggets in these commercials, everybody's connecting dots back to Wanda.
Right.
You know,
It's Wanda's fault. Right.
Yep.
So basically what you're saying is Agnes is the producer and Wanda's the director.
Well, let me be very clear. I'm not saying Agatha's doing any of this. You guys know who I think is doing.
Her name is Agnes.
It's Mephisto who is doing all of this. But
right.
Think about it. Think about when someone mentioned Ultron, what Wanda did.
Yes.
Do you think she would want to relive all these moments being experimented on from the Strucker watch? The bomb from the ticking toaster. The blood of all those innocent people she killed. She doesn't want to go through that. The whole point is to be happy, and that robs all the happiness away. So to me, that lets you know that she's truthful when she says, I don't control everything. Some, for sure. Because Vision goes like, you can't control me. And she's like, no. Like, keep talking and see what happens. All right, Vision.
A quick question for you before I take off. As I was thinking of you watching this episode, as the credits are rolling, I'm wondering, have you Googled all of the names in the credits? Okay.
Yeah, every last one. Every last one of those names have to do with the production of that show.
Okay.
Costume designers, casting directors.
So they're legit. There's no hidden names.
No.
Okay.
They're legit.
It's tied to whatever sitcom that was.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
Now, last thing before you go, because I want you to hear this, and I'm going to go to you, Dan. Did anybody, and Dom, this is for you really, because you did this with me last week. Did anybody zoom in on the mirror when Evan Peters, when she opens the door, and it kind of shows the mirror a little bit behind Wanda? If you zoom in on it, it doesn't look like Evan Peters. The body is a little bit bigger, and it looks like there's a hand extending towards Evan Peters. Again, I know a lot of people listening are like, Juwan, oh, such a geek. But I live for all of this because this is how crazy the show is.
Yeah.
But if you guys watch it again, try your best to zoom in, and it does not look like a reflection of Evan Peters. It's a shadowy figure. And how would it be a shadowy figure if it's showing the guy that's right there?
Right.
So, again, guys, I want Mephisto, and will I pull out any string theory-wise till I get him? Yeah, possibly.
I have another quick thing on that too. I think it was Comic Book Nostalgia, one of our buddies from Twitter. He was saying to me in a private DM something about if you watch like the captions or something that he was reading, that it does say in walks Pietro from the X-Men movies. So I don't know if that's confirming that it is him or that's just the way to kind of signify to anyone who's watching a closed caption can't hear what's going on. This is the best way to identify this character. But
I think that's it.
I thought it might be more confirming of his character, but shadowy figure works too.
No, and let me feed off of that. If you look at Spanish subtitles for when Monica's talking about the engineer friend, when you read the Spanish subtitles, they address it as female, that the person she's referring to is female. So it's like, well, then there goes the read, but she could be talking about Sue Storm.
It's true.
So
Who's Sue Storm? I'm only kind of nerdy over here. Look at my masthead.
Invisible Woman. That's her name. Invisible Woman.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Jessica Alba, right?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
So they're gnawing at a lot here. But Dan, I want to go to you, man. This one part of this episode had me just like, all right, where's my tinfoil hat? And that's the scene where we see the boys are looking for the dog, and the mailman comes by and goes, "Don't worry, kids. Your mom won't let anything get too far." And that was kind of like, I can't get out of here. I've been delivering mail in this one neighborhood for 3 months now. I'm kind of tired.
It was very ominous. Yeah.
Right. It was kind of a nod to like, don't worry, kids. Your mom controls everything here. Dan, how did you feel about that scene and your thoughts on this episode?
That scene, I guess it didn't really stick out to me that much. I thought it was just playful banter. Because if she's controlling everyone, how would he have gotten out of that bubble, I guess? How would he have decided to break character? I think it was just a nod to how everything is being controlled. I just didn't look too far into it. But in terms of the episode itself, I really enjoyed it. You guys all spoiled it for me at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I appreciate that. Some of us work.
Hey, I put spoiler tags on my post on Twitter, and I did the little dots underneath and everything. I said spoilers.
Well, it's kind of hard to move past images of Evan Peters. I wonder who he could have been.
Oh, wait, Dan. Are you talking about in our group chat or Twitter?
Twitter.
Oh, don't scare me, because I'm like, Dan, I said numerous times in the group chat, no spoilers. Okay, you scared me. Okay.
No, not in the group chat.
Like everyone else. Okay, all right, no problem.
Everybody's forgotten themselves in this pandemic. Everyone's just, I got to get the spoilers out now. Mm-hmm. So I knew what was going on, but it was still a fun episode. The one thing that annoyed me, and again, this is maybe just me being nitpicky, but when Monica and Darcy were all having this argument, or they were talking about how Wanda was so powerful that she could have ended Thanos until he brought on the Blitz. How do they know? How do they know that he brought on the Blitz? They weren't there. Monica was literally snapped away.
I was thinking that too. Like, how did they know? Did they do like stadium, like cameras or something to that event?
who brought the play-by-play? Like, all right, so then all the girls got together.
Well, Dan, you know who brought the play-by-play?
It's probably Lewis.
It was Lewis. You know he came by and was like, "Yo, guess what Ant-Man told me?" And it was like, blah 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 blah. This is
like this.
Yeah, he told everybody. You know, you couldn't stop talking about that.
Yeah, it's that scene was just strange. I guess it was more just to let us know, in case you forget, she's super powerful.
I mean, she used the exact words Feige used when he did he was at like some school and someone he was in an interview and someone asked him about like the strongest Avenger or something.
Who's the most powerful Avenger? Yeah,
she's the most powerful for sure.
Yeah, he was saying it's Wanda. Like she almost single-handedly, like she almost said it exactly how Feige said it in that interview. So I think it was more so for us and less for like continuity of like they definitely weren't there. Like not at all.
I thought the acting was phenomenal in this episode. I liked the argument far more than the Evan Peters reveal. I thought the way that they were arguing over the end credits was just so well done. And Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen are just perfect in this episode. And someone had mentioned the scene with the coworker. What's his name again? I'm sorry. Norm. Yeah. The way that actor went from cheery to terrified back to cheery, just like masterful. I thought that one scene was beautiful. Like it's so hard to go from those feelings in a snap of a finger. That was just well done. That guy should be nominated for something. But yeah, and then the whole missing children was an interesting aspect that I had never even noticed, that you don't see kids in any of the episodes. And then someone posted recently how, I guess in the next episode, the Halloween episode, it's nothing.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. There's like a bunch of kids now.
Right. So I don't know if it's Wanda doing it, or as you guys might have been saying, Agnes is kind of taking the kids or supplying them children. I don't know, because the kids have all aged while she was there. So yeah, I thought that was really good. Hated her accent. I was kind of hoping we were over that.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much.
I mean, Halle Berry figured it out after one X-Men movie and never went back. She should have probably taken notes from Halle Berry. But I get it. It's a nice little nod to who she was. But I think she had kind of dumped it after Age of Ultron, didn't she? She didn't have it in Civil War.
She found a way to dump it in Age of Ultron.
She didn't have it in Infinity War. That's for sure.
She didn't have it there. But still, I thought, well, someone mentioned to me, a friend of mine mentioned how they had that little, I guess it was a callback to the first X-Men film where Magneto turns the guns on the police and how Wanda was able to do that to the director. That was pretty cool. She's very scary. She comes at you and tells you you only have one chance. This is your last warning. And you kind of believe it. I just kept saying to the screen, shoot her now, shoot her now, shoot her now, shoot her now. It was a fun episode. It was a scary episode. And I really feel for Vision, man. He was brought into this so unwillingly, and it's very problematic.
Did you feel like scared when the drone was looking at her and suddenly her eyes started turning red? I was like, oh shit, like Wanda is no joke.
I just thought, honestly, I thought she was just going to destroy the drone and that would be it. But I was not expecting her to leave the West bubble. That was very surprising.
Juan, I have a question.
Yeah, go
when
ahead.
In that scene, actually, when the director, I forget his exact words, but he pretty much was like, take the shot, take the shot. And it reminded me of in Daredevil season 2, remember when, they pretty much like lured Frank Castle out just to try to like shoot him pretty much to, kind of cover up all the controversy and like the sneakiness that they've been doing. And that kind of reminds me here, like, just to back up everyone's claims with like, hey, we're being a dick, where it's like, what is he trying to cover up? That he wanted to take the shot. It's like, whoa, who said that was part of it? I mean, this is Wanda, she's an Avenger, like, we got to figure this out, not just take the shot.
I told you guys I felt something was off. I was getting Robert Redford vibes from our good old director. But no, I think what he's trying to hide is what Dom was saying, that he was using Vision as a weapon, and Wanda clearly knows that. And at any point, Wanda could let the world know they were using Vision as a weapon. Only unfortunate thing for Wanda is that got to get that out of my system. Sword now has painted it as if Wanda is a bad guy, and unfortunately, she has exuded those characteristics before. So it's not that hard. Tyler, thank you, Ryan, is the name of the director.
Well,
so it's not that hard to paint her as that, once again.
Well, first of all, you have to remember Wanda probably has an extreme dislike and distrust for authority, considering that they're the ones who put through the Sokovia Accords. They took her and imprisoned her in the raft and everything. And them trying to make Vision a weapon even after his death is the exact reason why Captain America didn't want their Avengers to be in the hands of the government in the first place. And it's like everything that's happening just backs that up.
I do love how Steve was like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and retire. And it's like, well, who's in charge of the Avengers? I don't really care. I got that.
Well, and even to Tia's point, I mean, like if you think about Iron Man 2, how like during the congressional meeting, they were talking about, like Rhodey talking about, you're gonna make me read an excerpt of my full report that doesn't reflect everything. So the director of Sword directed the narrative within that meeting as well, just like they did in Iron Man 2 to try to vilify Wanda. So that makes I mean, like, it clearly makes it seem like he has an agenda.
For sure. And I want to point this out. I sent you guys a photo in the group chat. I sat on this for a while, and I could be 1,000% wrong. Let me just go ahead and let all the listeners know I could be 1,000% wrong.
I'm curious what you have to say.
But the reason I believe she recognized this different face for her brother is in the Fox universe, in Days of Future Past, a lot of people just didn't pay attention because no one really cared, right? Jawan pays attention to all. When they go to visit Quicksilver's house, his mom has a daughter. You're not telling me that one kid is Magneto's, and it's out of the realm of possibility to believe the other one is Magneto's. There is a good chance that she's splitting her memories from two different universes. That's why she recognized his face. A lot of people are like, she didn't recognize him. That's why she kept staring. No. If someone you love passed away and then they ring your doorbell, you'll have that same look also. It was more so shock of like, how the hell are you alive?
Well, she could be going in the Wonder Woman 84 direction, and even though it's a completely different body, she somehow accepts that that's the same person.
I mean, sure, but to me, I think it was just more so of like, because again, him arriving came right after she was trying to convince Vision that she's not doing this.
As long as it wasn't Pedro Pascal, I'm good.
If you're Vision, think of how hard that is.
Sorry, Tia.
Where it's like, hey, Vision, I'm not controlling reality, but my brother's at the door, and it's like, Wanda, come on, really? That's you. That's not somebody else. Why would someone else put your brother here? So I think what's happening is, and again, this is all going to what's going to drive Wanda completely insane. Whoever's doing this is stripping the only person she has, which is Vision. They're growing that division between the two of them to where the only person Wanda's going to have to rely on is whoever this mysterious being is that's running everything.
She's starting to lose Vision now, and it's clear.
And whoever
that is a solid hypothesis.
Yeah, and whoever it is driving them far apart enough to where once Vision's completely out of the picture, she'll snap, exude all that chaos magic. Which, by the way, really quickly, a lot of people are like, what does the hex mean? If you go back to the old Wanda comics, she refers to her powers as hex powers. Mm-hmm. So that could be the significance on why everything is hex. Everything is hex. Mm-hmm. But hex also could be a deeper meaning, because that's why
Dark Man.
Director Tyler had his what you call it in the shape of a hex. But yeah, I do think Wanda is blending her memories with a different universe, because now that we're getting the multiverse, and she's remembering, because remember, in that Fox universe, Michael Fassbender had 2 kids. A lot of people forget. He had a daughter that was murdered in the beginning of that movie along with his wife.
Oh, dude, it was super traumatic.
It was Apocalypse, right? Yeah. It's what caused him to bring back using his powers. So he had
that followed afterwards.
Right. He had a daughter. He had a daughter there, which I kept saying, again, people forget Magneto has 3 kids. 3 really dumb, powerful kids.
Yes, indeed.
So I'm like, is it hard to believe that that little girl that was Quicksilver's sister was Magneto's daughter also? No, not hard to believe. So that's why I said I think that's why she recognized his face. But I also do like, if you guys remember, Evan Peters' portrayal of Quicksilver, how he acted at that door, drastically different than anything you've ever seen of his.
It was more mature, for sure.
It was a douchier, more mature version of that character. I think it was their way of showing it's him, not really how you remembered. Kind of signifying that maybe it's not him.
Yeah, I thought his acting, and this is no like plight against Evan Peters. I'm sure this is the direction that he was given, but I didn't necessarily like his acting in this scene because it felt forced. But I believe that that's what they were going for.
Indeed.
Was this sort of forced? Yeah, it was this sort of forced thing.
Who did he remind you of?
Tony Soprano.
No.
Yeah, he was like,
I
hey,
mean,
yo,
I'm
it's
just
like-
saying.
I don't
I'll say this.
I mean, they are in New Jersey, Juwan. No offense,
I'm
but
looking way too deep into this, but that his portrayal there is eerily similar to the uncle that her sisters had in a certain show.
huh?
Wait, what?
Oh, I don't think.
I think.
All right, all right.
Which
all right.
show?
Remember the
Full House.
masthead right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Uncle Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I thought you were
all
trying
right,
to say one
that
of,
makes
like,
sense, sir.
The
Him playing
X-Men
up
shows.
All right.
the whole uncle
That
thing,
was
where it's
that
like,
was super open ended. I was like, what the hell are
Maybe if
you
he
talking
came in
about?
and was like, "Have mercy" or something like that, man.
Right.
yeah, no, to me, that's what immediately when I saw him, I was just like, yeah, he's giving those kind of vibes.
He's the cool uncle, and there's the kids.
Exactly. And think about this. What's the next time period we're going into next week?
90s.
90s, yeah.
Not Fuller House, I can tell you that.
Well, no. But and next week is supposed to be the Halloween episode, I believe. So we're gonna get a lot more. Remember, in this Halloween episode, from the trailer, is where Vision touches Agnes's head, and she kind of zaps out of it and goes, "Am I dead? Why would you think that? Because you're dead.
Because you're
like, this is weird for me." So a lot more questions will be answered. I do think if I'm just putting pieces together, I would assume next week probably ends with Vision exiting the city or the town or whatever. So look, this show is going bonkers. This was a huge episode. I'm really curious if next week how much we get of Pietro before it's kind of just like, well, he kind of went away, kind of scattered away.
Think about this. Best trick-or-treating ever right there.
Boom, 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 boom.
That is,
I got all the candy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. But no, this was a great episode. Tia, you being a big time dog lover, don't read that Vision comic. Family.
Oh my god, like when they got the dog, I said, oh my god, it's so cute, a dog, I love it, And then when Agnes came up with it, I was like, did they just kill a dog? No.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, in that Vision comic, his daughter that is an android beats the dog to death in the comic. Like thrash.
No, I'm done. Because Tia, I'm with you. Like put it this way. Let me put it to you this way. I haven't even watched any of the John Wicks because I know his dog dies.
Oh,
and
it happens within like the first 10 minutes of the first
doesn't matter.
movie.
Like anything animal cruelty or any animal dying, like, nope, I'm out. Right. So when she wrapped the dog coming out of the bushes, I was like, oh hell no. I was like, no. I was this close. I was like,
I want her dead in that moment. I was like, she has something to do with this and she needs to go now.
Right. Exactly. I was like, you kill a dog, I will kill a human. I will hit a human with my car before I hit an animal. It's fine. Humans have a choice. Animals don't.
I was gonna roll my sleeves. I was like,
this is not a future confession, anyone. This is no.
That was before GoPros, man. You're good. You're
good. Don't
Patrick,
worry about
by
it.
the way, don't ever watch the documentary "Don't F with Cats." Just putting it out there.
Oh, that's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Thank you for the heads up. Thanks for the heads up.
But to what you were saying about the dog, it's someone said to me that if you slow it down and watch it at 0.25 speed, the dog is still moving in her hands. I don't know if that's true, but she could be trying to conceal it to get that point across that they say in that moment about trying to convince Wanda to bring something back from the dead. Because that seems to be, I think that, again, Mephisto is trying to have her use up as much of her magic so that he can absorb as much of it out of her as he can. So that's why, oh yeah, you can bring it back to life. You can do all these amazing things. Why don't you do it?
But didn't Agnes seem a little confused too when the kids were like, bring him back, you can do that? She's like, you can do that? I didn't know it to take that if that was genuine or not.
remember also, there is a possibility that if she is Agatha Harkness, let's just go off the possibility that she's not. If she is, it is very possible Mephisto sent her here with as little information as possible.
Yeah.
So she's seeing firsthand, like, you could do that? You could do that? Like, what? He told me nothing. He was just like, hey, she's powerful. And it's like, okay, I've seen that. Like, I didn't know she could bring people back from the dead. You know, that's why she's probably, like, in that trailer, she's kind of looking at Vision like, God damn it, she done did it again. Like, she done brought,
yeah. I'm sending you here. Figure the shit out. Yeah.
Yeah, Mephisto was kind of like, hey, like, you're going to figure this out as you go. But last point before we get out of here that I want to bring up. Very, very, very cool scene that I just geeked out about is when Jimmy Woo is breaking down the file of Wanda in front of everybody, and Tyler immediately cuts him off and goes, no nickname? They're building, because remember, before they couldn't call her Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch, yeah.
Fox wasn't allowing that.
Yep.
They're building to calling her Scarlet Witch. And when that moment comes, that's what
by the way, that was such a great scene too, because Tyler Hayward was just trying to quickly say why Wanda became what she was. Like, oh, she, you know, her parents were killed, and then years later she, you know, got radicalized and joined Hydra. And, you know, Jimmy was like, that's a very, like, simplification of the actual events. And it's like, yeah, it was. And I just love that scene. But yeah, John, when he was like, no funky nicknames, I died laughing. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, because everyone has like their superhero name except Wanda.
Everyone has a come to Jesus moment before they get their name. Like, remember, he was not called Iron Man, so he called himself that towards the end of that movie. So everyone usually works their way up to their name, and I think this is kind of capping off her story to where we'll get the reveal of Scarlet Witch. Call me Scarlet Witch.
And is that going to happen next episode with the Halloween episode? Is that when it's finally going to happen at the end?
I mean, you couldn't get any better than that. I mean, the only time I think you can get better than that is if the reveal is Magneto and he calls her that, and she goes, "Who?
You're my Scarlet Witch," or something along those lines. Yeah.
I prefer that too. I there's something odd and almost like weirdly self-serving about calling yourself whatever superhero identity you assume. I would rather it be someone else go like, yeah, you know, I saw something, she's got red in her eyes, she's acting like a witch. That's a Scarlet Witch. Some better way than that, but you know.
Well, Ryan, let me ask Prime, because like you are the authority on all things sports. So like, you know, going from the Jim Rome aspect, there is no self-glossing, right?
Right.
Yeah. Someone else, if you're gonna get glossed, someone else is gonna gloss you.
Yeah, somebody else is gonna, you know, blow it up for you.
Yep.
Yeah, I always live by that. You don't need to tell me you're great. Let us tell you you're
exactly.
So she will probably have that moment. But before we get out of here, Ryan, you wanted to talk to us about
just a little thing that I picked up on. So we talk about like kind of the difference between the outside of the world and the inside world that Wanda is in or has created. And I'm always looking for like these little clues where, you know, there's something in the wallpaper or the clock is missing a number or something like that. One thing I noticed that stood out, because at first I was looking at that tiger that was on that kitchen table. I was like, is that something? And I could not figure it out.
I was hoping it was Battle Cat. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Battle Cat, I like that.
But I realized it was a Bengal tiger.
I was like, is there something with Wanda and tigers I missed? But anyways, as I'm looking at that, I look over to the sink and I see this bottle of Joy dish soap, and I'm like, what is that for? And as it goes on there, you see these moments. The boys are washing the dog with the Joy dish soap. They're having this great moment that seems like completely a TV moment where they're just like living it up, and it's I want to give him belly rubs and all that stuff, and like they're just in this blissful moment, right? And as soon as you come out of that, you have like Hayward, and they're all trying to send the drone in. And as he is about to shoot that missile off, he sets something to the phrasing of "no joy." And I thought that was very interesting, kind of showing this dichotomy of like, in this world, this is her joy. This is her home. This is her family. This is her idealized world. But, you know, once an invader comes in, no joy. So it might be a little bit of a stretch, but I saw that and I just thought that might be a little wink and a nod to the audience. And I thought that was cool.
I saw that a little differently because right before you see the tiger on the kitchen table, who mentions a tiger? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Agnes.
Agnes.
She says, I spray this lavender. She said her husband sprays the lavender to try to tame her, but you can't tame this tiger.
Oh,
the very next thing you see is a tiger on the kitchen table.
Nice.
Hey, Jawan.
Yeah.
I want to say a couple of things real quick. Did anyone notice the I don't know if it's just me or if I'm, getting kind of out there, but when they was earlier in the episode when they were showing they were in one of the living room scenes, the shape of the curtains.
Yes. Yep.
Looked like an L.
Yep.
Like a house of L. It's curtains in the house and all that. I immediately. But also, I wanted to speak on the point which you guys mentioned earlier when we were talking about Agnes and the kids, right? So, to further the point you guys were making, did you notice at the scene when they were talking? Well, first of all, immediately she shows up at the house with a dog. Was it a dog house? Like,
yeah,
out the window, right? But when when the kids, decide to make themselves older or age, they looked at each other. So I much to do with those kids as a lot of people think.
Yeah, and I mean,
yeah.
The most important thing is think about how hard Wanda was trying to get Vision to trust Agnes, to where it was like, no, like let her help. It just kind of rings the bell of it's a good chance Agnes was the person that talked Wanda into a lot of this. Go ahead, Dom. I see it turning. I
just thought like, so when Wanda exits the hex, Monica's like, you're a telepath. You knew I was a sword agent. You knew I was an ally. So she must know who Agnes is. She has to know on some level that she's not that big of a threat, which is why she likes to keep her around. Because if she feels things around her are kind of off, and she's a telepath, she's read everyone's mind at some point. So maybe that's, you know what I mean?
I say maybe not. Well, she's not really a telepath.
Right.
But I'd even say no to that, mainly because she's saying she doesn't even know how she got there. So it's a good chance that she's not really looked at people as a threat till now, when things are starting to get like, things were never like this before. But ultimately, we've said all this to say, we got no idea what the hell's going on. And is it Westview or Westfield?
Westview.
Okay. I heard so many people say Westfield. They've said it so much. And you know, it's crazy. I live in New Jersey. So on the news, when they do say like a Westfield or something, I'm like, wait a minute. Is that real? And I'm like, Westview.
Isn't that like the Mandela effect or something? Are you having like a moment of that?
Wanda got me, Tia. If I'm
the mind hears what it wants to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm hearing 90s, get up next week. You guys got to call somebody.
Hey, Juwan. Hey, real quick, I know we're about to exit off. One thing Dom has made me think about it with his last point. Did you guys notice too that during that scene when she exits, when she's out there talking to Monica and them, and Monica's saying, "Let me help you," her exact words were, "What do you have to offer me?" You see what I'm saying? Keep an eye on down the road and we figure out what's really going on, how she's being controlled, if she's being controlled, whose influence is that?
And to extend on your point, when she locked the guns onto everybody, they were locked on everybody but Monica.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Monica did help her, deliver her
the babies. Yeah.
Right.
And
she said that. She said, you can trust me. And I think Wanda's kind of like, yeah.
And I saw someone point out online, it's like, this whole time she's had Agnes, right? Agnes has come over the whole time. Agnes helped her with the dinner fiasco in episode 1 and yada, yada, yada. But then Monica as Geraldine came in later, right? So for all intents and purposes, Geraldine was very new. why wouldn't Agnes be the one helping her deliver her babies? Why did she pick, Geraldine, Monica to be the one to deliver her babies?
But ask yourself this: has Monica and Agnes been in the same scene together?
I don't think so.
See?
Ah.
Yeah.
What about that?
Think about that.
Outside party. When they're
Yes,
all.
yes. Okay, then yes, that was the time. Yeah, that was
okay.
That was a one time. Yeah, because
I see kind of your point though. Yeah.
Monica comes out of the box, and Agnes
Yes.
in the crowd.
Yeah, and that's when she said, "I don't know what I'm doing here." That was her.
Yeah. But guys, this has been another great review. Next week will be even crazier because we'll have a little bit more clues, but not really. First up, I want to give a shout out to Patrick representing Kinda Nerdy Girls and Kinda Nerdy Dudes. New episode dropped this past week.
Yep.
You guys can look forward to a new episode coming up this week.
Yes.
Hopefully me and Patrick can get together to do a podcast of our own this week.
Yes.
For you guys a special treat.
And soon to come a Kinda Nerdy Dudes DC only podcast.
Yeah.
So that is in the works.
Right there.
And I wore that. I wore my Flash hoodie just for that for you, Juwan. So
for sure.
Yeah, that is in the works.
We are gonna have so much fun on that episode.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Tia, you're not allowed to listen because good things will be said about BVS.
Oh, I will trash Superman though. Trust me.
That's the takeaway you have from this.
I also want to give a huge shout out to Clay, who is representing Kinda Nerdy Dudes with Patrick today.
Yeah, in lieu of KG not being here tonight. Thank you, Clay. Yes.
Clay was amazing. Clay, please come back anytime. You are amazing. Love podcasting with him. Also, Prime, make sure you guys are staying tuned for the Sports Bar podcast. The Super Bowl's tomorrow. You're going to want to know all the fallout from it. Huge shout out to Source because Carson Wentz is being traded. You're gonna want to hear the fallout from that. And Prime,
is he going to be in navy and orange? That's all I want to know.
Might be the Colts. I don't know.
Might be the Colts. They need
that would be better for me because I don't want him on my team.
Also, Prime, I don't know if you heard the breaking news. The Knicks are looking to push through that trade for Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose, yeah.
So stuff is happening over on the New York Garden side.
Sure.
So make sure you guys are staying up to date. Follow Sports Bar Podcast, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for all your sports needs. Ryan is getting right back into the swing of things. The Nerd Rage podcast. I was gonna say something different. Is coming back into full swing, and you might see some familiar faces on there. So make sure you guys stay tuned for the revival of that. Also giving a shout to Dan. They call this a movie. He breaks down one of the greatest award-winning movies by Dane Cook. So make sure you guys check out their breakdown of that movie.
It's called Good Luck, Chuck.
How do you love these movies? I don't understand you.
Wait, can I say this, Dan? I will say at least 50% of the movies you've broken down that I tell you I love, I literally can't stand. But I like to be the one guy that loves it when you guys are all like, they even made this thing?
Off of the podcast, we sit there and we just wonder, we have to have Juwan on one of these days to defend himself because these movies are just, they're booty cheeks, man.
Hey, look, I love Good Luck, Chuck. I love that movie. It is the hottest Jessica. No, I just lied. Sin City is the hottest.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I lied. I'm sorry.
I will
admit come out of my mouth.
I'll admit that I watched Good Luck, Chuck a lot back in the day because that was like the Dane Cook era, and I loved waiting. Like as a waitress, I loved waiting.
Right.
And then realizing years later where you're like, yeah, Good Luck, Chuck, and the one where he was at a supermarket or something. Those weren't good.
Yeah, because remember, Tia, the most important thing, you never mix Tex-Mex with Intercontinental.
Everyone forgets that Ryan Reynolds was hitting on 17-year-old girls in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
That is true. That is true. But no, Good Luck, Chuck. Love that movie. I will fight for it to the end of time. It was the height of Dane Cook, right before the fall of Dane Cook, and it was one of the hottest of Jessica Alba's life. But make sure you guys check out the all new episode of They Called This a Movie. And then giving a shout out to Tia. Tia, you just did top 10 sports movies.
Yeah, so last week we did top 10 worst movie endings, which Dan was actually a part of, and that was really great. And then the week before that, we did top 10 best sports movies, which seems like it's very relevant considering the Super Bowl is tomorrow. And we did have a couple of football movies on there. So even though I'm not a sports fan, you gotta listen to find out. I'm not a sports fan, but I love sports movies, so that was a lot of fun to do.
I don't even think that makes sense, but okay.
It does, because they're always so inspirational. I'm like, I don't care about the sport, but I care about like what goes on behind the sport.
That's fair.
So.
And see, I'm gonna let you know this now. Don't answer it, because people need to go listen to the episode. But if Air Bud, at least 6 Air Bud movies aren't on your top 10.
I'm going to stop you right there because, I mean, damn.
I can tell you now that not one made on that list.
Spoiler alert.
Friendship is over. You guys just saw the end of a friendship right there. And Dom has some pretty huge reviews coming up our way. He just got some, we're not going to talk about it, but he just got some screeners the other day. For some good stuff coming out of Amazon. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Dom is pushing these reviews out. Huge shouts out to him. And really quickly before we go, Ryan, I want to give you a chance to give a quick plug before we sign off.
Oh, no, it's just that, we are coming back, like you said, and I appreciate that from before. The revival is happening. Actually, just got one of our episodes recorded last week for the return of Nerd Rage Weekly. I'm bringing back the original co-host of our show, who hasn't been on in like 5 years. So that's going to be good. We're doing it all next week, so should have like 3 or 4 episodes up.
Make sure you guys stay tuned. The Nerd Rage Podcast. Yep. Everywhere social media exists. Follow them. Every single place. Everywhere. Even the darkest corners of the internet. They're there.
On the dark web,
Follow
yeah. Anthrax, Nerd Rage. You got
it. We're all connected, man.
It's all connected, man. Wanda, let us know. But thank you guys for tuning into an all new episode of Marvel Cinematic Review. Thank everyone who joined, and I cannot wait to bring out my tinfoil hat for next week's episode. So make sure you guys join us next Saturday night, same time,